everybody. Welcome to the Watch Pals. My name's Chris. This week we watched Electric Apricot: Quest for Festeroo. But before we get into that, I'm going to introduce the panel of pals. I'm going to start with Bryan. Bryan, welcome to the show.
Hello, Chris. Once again, thank you for having me on your movie panel of friends.
Great to have you here. Next up is Jeff. Jeff, thank you for being here.
Hey, you're very welcome. My time is precious, so.
Well, we're all appreciative of you being here. And that brings us to Jordan. Jordan, how you doing today, buddy? You okay?
I am elated to be here with
Elated.
you guys.
He got elated.
Uh-oh. Someone restart Jordan.
He's a little dilated. He's dilated to be here.
His pubes are dilated. Check them out.
My pubes are dilated, is that what you said?
What does that mean?
All right. Well, this week we watched a movie called Electric Apricot. Jeff is going to be driving the boat here to take us on this wild ride to the quest of for Festeroo.
Festeroo, yep.
And this movie, what a ride, Jeff. Thank you for picking it. Why did you pick this movie?
So, at the end of last episode, I explained that, but I will explain it yet again in case you didn't listen to last episode. So, this is my first movie that was a recommendation. So, we got a recommendation. It's from my partner, Tiffany. She was excited for us to watch this. And so she picked this, and I'd never seen it before. The only thing I heard...
So she hates us.
I don't think she hates us, no. I think she thought we would like it.
Maybe me. She hates me.
She was thinking of you.
That was the first thing I said to her as soon as we started this. I was like, I know Chris is going to hate this immediately. But yeah, so let me ask you guys a question. Knowing that none of us knew anything really about this or had seen it before... when someone says, or when you think of a jam band, what kind of like bands and people come to mind when you hear that? Like a jam band?
Fish.
Stinky Fish.
So Chris, go first. I guess Fish, the band. Is that
Fish,
what you're thinking of?
and the Grateful Dead guy. What's his name?
Jerry Garcia.
Yeah, I saw him on an episode of Roseanne or something.
A very special episode of Roseanne.
Was he?
Yeah, because they named the youngest kid that they had in like the last seasons Jerry Garcia.
I'm gonna look this up right now, real quick. Was Jerry Garcia on Roseanne?
It's like a last like.
Was it really him?
I don't remember.
Look-alike.
He like came to her in a dream or something.
It was Cole Roberts. So someone played them.
Portrayed him.
Yeah.
Okay. What a weird. Okay. Anyways,
I don't understand jam bands. That's just me. Sorry.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't think any of us really listen to jam bands. So, but anyway, so Bryan, what about you? What do you think?
Yeah, I would say
jam
like
band?
Fish or like any kind of like any band that focuses on 3-hour sessions of being completely random for 3 consecutive live shows in New York. Any band that does that, I would consider a jam band.
And I'm not saying they're not talented either. Like,
No.
Obviously, they are musically
They have
talented.
talent and be able to do that, but it's not my taste in most cases.
It's definitely impressive to just be able to like riff like that off of each other, which is cool.
It's like jazz in that way.
Yeah.
King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, I would consider a garage rock jam band that I do like versus a hippie rock jam band that I don't enjoy, like Fish. So there you
This guy's getting into subgenres already.
That's all I'm saying. I'm stopping.
Genre boy over there.
Subgenres.
This isn't a music podcast.
Well, this episode's
Subgenre.
musical, so it's okay.
I guess it kind of technically is, yeah.
Subgenre. All right, Jordan, last but not least, what do you think?
Oh man. Not my cup of tea.
Not your cup of tea. Why not? Why not?
Like I think it previously said, it's like, hey, here's this album with like 5 songs on it. It's 3.5 hours long. Like, I'm good. Thanks, man. Like, I'll pass on that. The people are you friendly who are like really into this stuff. I find that they're pretty friendly people.
Yeah, I mean, like not to pigeonhole, but like, you know, a hippie mindset, right? Peace, love, all that kind of stuff. For some of it, not all of it, obviously.
Yeah. You know, it's just not my thing.
Is there
We
like
get
a
that.
heavy metal jam band?
So there's like doom metal. I would maybe equate to this a little bit, but it's not like improvised like jam
That's like
bands
super
are.
slow though.
It's just that's the only thing I can kind of like stoner metal maybe.
Yeah.
But it's not the same. They're not just doing whatever.
So the weird thing about this movie, Jeff, is that it's made by another musician.
It is, yeah. So Les Claypool of Primus fame. If you haven't heard of Primus, what are you doing with your life? But anyway, he's done a ton of stuff. He did the South Park theme song, right? We actually even see one of the creators of South Park in this movie for a brief moment. So, there's a lot of, there's even some, if you've seen Cannibal the Musical, which is the creator of South Park's first movie, there's even some guy, Skip was in that.
The guy also too, the manager. Is that the manager guy? Is that Skip?
Skip was
like
the
the
guy who
assistant.
was like,
Is it
he's
second
like the
sound
assistant.
technician? Okay, so that's Skip. It was the second sound technician, but the other guy was the guy that had his car was getting towed, or he had to get someone to break into his car for him.
Right. That's,
And that
yeah,
was a manager.
That was the manager, and so he's another South Park guy. He's a friend of the South Park guys. So a lot of friends of Les Claypool.
Is Les
I imagine.
Claypool like known as an actual actor? Because I want to say
No,
he's like he was the only good actor in this movie.
I'd say I like it was the other guitarist, the one that lived in like the treehouse. That dude made me laugh.
Okay, yeah, he was pretty good. But
He was
the
cracking me up.
treehouse on like
And-
the estate.
That guy and whoever the guy was funding him that had the Robin on his computer, that was cracking me up. He was like, he just had a computer in the back and it was an iMac and he was working on a picture of a Robin in an art like program. It was cracking me up.
Yeah. So to set this up, it's basically a mockumentary film. Probably the most popular musical mockumentary film is Spinal Tap, right? I think a lot of people know of that one. So this is that.
Have you
But
guys
for
seen that, by the way?
Yes. Yeah.
nope.
I'm just checking.
Well, this is that, but for a jam band, basically. And Spinal Tap's like a 80s heavy metal band. So like,
Yeah.
there was a whole shtick. There was a funny part where they came out on stage in the pods and like the one didn't open. And, there's a bunch of that.
They
crank
couldn't
it
get
up
to the stage.
Yeah, turn it up to 11. It's all from that movie. So
Wait, is Spinal Tap a real band?
No, they were a mock band.
Okay, so they're not real. Okay, so I thought they were a real band.
right.
That's
It's like-
how good it came across. Then you know what I mean?
They tricked me.
All right. So yeah, I'm going to do my best to go through this, but since it's filmed as like a documentary, it was like it jumps all over the place quite a bit. So there are a couple of plot points. I'll talk about that. I've got some notes about funny parts. This one might be a little bit shorter because of just how the film is. So it's being filmed very clearly on like an old VHS kind of look and feel throughout the whole movie. So it doesn't matter if you got a nice 4K TV or anything. Also, I thought it was interesting real quick before I dive into it. It says this was National Lampoon's,
Yeah.
but then on a different
weird.
version, I saw it was Troma release.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's going on. There was like 2006 release.
Production, I guess National Lampoon's paid for the production, but distributed by Troma.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So here's
Okay.
my guess about that, just because I looked in that earlier. So National Lampoon probably put up the money to get their name on it and push it out there like film festivals and stuff. And then when Cannibal the Musical was on Troma as well, so the South Park guys were involved with this. Ipso facto, that's why it got put out on Troma.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's like Troma just paid for it to get distributed, like paid for it to be everywhere.
Yeah, I knew nothing about this movie, so when I saw the trauma thing pop up, I was like, "Oh God, here we go."
Yeah, I was like, wait a minute. I thought this was National Lampoon.
Like, here
Yeah,
we
I was
go.
expecting something way worse when that popped up. So worse as in like maybe like someone gets killed or gore or
I would have welcomed that. It's
typical yeah. So anyways, all right, so we'll start out the movie. Basically, the whole premise is that there's a young filmmaker. He kind of sets out to document the jam band scene, and he sort of just stumbles upon Electric Apricot, and it's just this band that's kind of wants recognition in this crowded world of jam music. And it begins by interviewing the band members, and they talk about like their philosophies, kind of music they like, their life, their deep connection with the fans, things like that. So here I have them written down. So there's Steve Gordon. He's bass vocals. He's kind of like the front man, I guess you would say. There's Lapdog Johnson. He's definitely very hippie-like in his representation. Herschel Tamber Brillstein. I had to look some of these names up because I'm like, I don't even remember them being called this. He's kind of like a quirky guy. And then there's the Iowas Cash McGillicuddy, who's guitar and vocals. And he goes into this spiel about like how he changed his name to this, I think it's like a Egyptian deity or something. I forget the specifics, but it goes in length about that. So
they talked about that?
Yeah.
I missed that.
Kristen, yeah, I know Kristen's spaced out.
So there's something about this movie that if you're not paying attention, if this would just be like on in the background, you could miss a ton of the jokes. Yeah, it just seems like absolutely. A documentary. Yeah. It seems like something you might see on VH1, but when you're paying attention, like there are some really funny things I think that are happening. So it definitely starts out as like a normal rock doc. They're kind of like talking to some fans. There's this guy, he said he made up this thing called The Cube, which I thought was really funny.
Yeah, I did see that.
Does anyone want to talk about The Cube guy?
Well, he's a comedian in real life. I remember like seeing him back around. I don't see him too much anymore, but like he's basically a super fan. He's like invented this dance move called The Cube, and you kind of go like this, and I was like, oh God, I've met too many people like this.
And it's funny because later on in the film, they just like, oh yeah, the Cube's here. He sent us like a care package. It's like, oh, what, this one random guy at the start of the film. But then we're starting to learn about the band. Les Claypool's character, he's talking about how he used to be in a metal band called Lucifer, which was elusive Lucifer. I don't know if that was Les Claypool or not. It might have been.
I think it was. Yeah.
But okay, but they kind of like, they play coffee shops. They're like, yeah, we play a lot of places like coffee shops, and we put hats on the ground in front of us. Then we're kind of shown just these kind of other guys. They're tapers. They go around and they just tape all of these jam bands. And that's Seth Green.
Yeah.
And
that was one of my favorite parts.
Yeah. And Matt Stone. So they're talking about like how they're basically like have mics to record these jam bands and stuff. And they are arguing about the mics a little bit, talking about stuff like they sound like they know what they're talking about, but it definitely probably doesn't mean anything.
SR12.
It starts out with very slight humor. Kind of how I said, like you might actually miss a lot of it.
Matt Stone's face is great because he's just like deadpan looking the whole time.
Yeah.
The entire beginning of this movie is so confusing. The first like 15 minutes, it jumps around so much.
It is.
There's so much happening. And that's why I thought this was like, oh, this is like the beginning of the movie. And then it goes into like, I thought this was like a thing that led into a movie because I knew nothing about this. Absolutely nothing.
My thought process on how this movie was made, because as I'm watching this, I'm like trying to put it together, like all these different scenes. Like, how did they put this together? So, okay, this is what I think happened. Les Claypool had musician friends. They actually enjoy playing jam band music, right? So they got their friends together and made this fake jam band called Electric Apricot or Apricot, however you want to pronounce it. So he decides, okay, let's just film a little joke mockumentary between us friends, and we'll play some live shows, maybe like along the road with Primus or whatever he was doing, because he has like a bunch of side projects and stuff. So that's why I think like there's a bunch of random scenes that are like strewn together in this, and why they keep cutting back to like the live shows, because oh, you like that? So you can't see this on the podcast, but Chris is making fun of my visual hand movements right now, showing the threading of these scenes. But yeah, I think they just filmed a bunch of like live shows of them performing as the band. That's why you get like so much live footage of them. And then they probably just had all this random footage of them in the studio working with, let's just joke around as this jam band is like, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it's very clear, like, they're pretty talented. The one guy's playing, like, a crazy solo. At one point, I was like, all right. Like, so, you know, unless Claypool's are renowned, there's no way he would just be, playing with a bunch of people who stunk. But there are just, like, some funny details when they're interviewing the one guy. Like, there was a giant lamb chop puppet in the corner. Then they're talking, I forget who this guy was, but the guy who saved the tortilla from his breakfast and called it...
That's a bassist.
The bassist, he said, the Garcia tortilla. So he loves Jerry Garcia. And the Garcia tortilla was pretty funny.
I thought that was a guitar player, like the guy with the long wavy hair.
That's the bass player.
That's the bass player.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. See
the curly hair guy.
Wait, there are two guys with long curly hair, actually.
But
the guy that was with Lamb Chop, but the guy that lives in the treehouse, I thought he was the bass player.
I think he's a guitarist.
Okay.
I had trouble keeping him. Okay, yeah. So it is the guitar player with Lamb Chop has the Garcia tortilla.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I have it up right now.
Say that again
on the screen. Garcia tortilla.
No, say that entire sentence really fast.
I don't even remember what I just said.
It's a lamb chop with the Garcia tortilla.
So going back, wait, really quick, going back to the tapers. Is that a real thing? Is that like a real?
People would trade tapes. Yeah.
I actually know a friend. I'm going to a show this week. I'm wondering if I'm going to run into him, but he is one of those people that puts microphones up on a pole at the back of a club, and then just goes onto a message board and just says, "Hey, this is the show from last night. If anybody wants it."
They're talking. I think Seth Green's like, what do you say? Yeah, he's like, it's great. It's great having friends. Yeah. And the other guy, Matt Stone's just like, yeah, it's the 4V, because they're like kind of arguing over like what's a better sound. He just cuts him off. He's like, it's great. It's great having friends. He just goes, yeah, it's a 4V. Just dumb shit like that is like throughout this whole movie.
Yeah.
There are some things that really made me laugh a lot, and then there were some things where I was like, all right, this part needs to be over. But they were talking about the name of the band. I think they said they were calling it Nectar Vaseline Groove at first.
Yeah.
And then someone's like, what's Pearl Jam, right? It's semen. So,
that was one of my favorite jokes.
Actually, I looked that up to see if that was true or not. I was like, is that what Pearl Jam means?
So
the guy with the hat that they're interviewing, he says this one line. I think it's like very spot on with some of these people I've met over the years. He says, I wrote it down. He goes, I don't really speak literally, because if you speak in a literal way, it's like the next thing you know, everyone understands you. And that's just like, who wants that, man? I'm like, yes, that's perfect.
Yeah, that is perfect for this. Yeah, a lot of the dialogue in this film is like, what did this guy just say? But yeah, back to them. So they talk about they had a logo, Electric Nectarine was their original name, and then people kept saying it wrong, and then they said that the logo is actually an apricot. So then they changed it to Electric Apricot. Basically, is how they got the name.
And they also said the bolt in the middle it's not ripping off the Grateful Dead.
Yeah, it's 11, not 13.
Yeah, it's a 13 stat bolt or whatever it was.
That was funny. That is that's one thing when I was young and before I actually knew who the Grateful Dead were, I always thought that logo was sick. Like I would draw it. I didn't never even listen to them before.
You'd see it everywhere,
You would see it everywhere. I was like, oh, this must be cool. And then I'd listen to the band and I was like, this ain't for me, man. But when I got older, Casey Jones, they got a couple good songs, right? But I'm not into the jamming forever. No, riding that train. You don't like that?
Nope.
Oh, is that them?
Yeah.
What do you think of that, Chris?
Yeah, I'm good.
He never heard it. He's a liar.
Jeff, I don't know if we're gonna move past if we're there yet or not. But like when they're talking to Les Claypool's character, he talks about he's like a glass blower.
Yeah, I love that part.
Dude,
I think that's a little later,
okay,
but
that's 20 minutes in.
Okay,
that's a little later.
My favorite line is in that scene.
The glass blower part, it's funny, yeah. Also, I made a note that Les Claypool's character, he kind of is a little nasally, and it sounds like when we're making fun of Chris and we hold our nose like this, he kind of sounds like that throughout the whole movie. I didn't see that either. Yeah, so we've got a little bit of I don't know if I'd call it a running joke, but when we make fun of each other, specifically like Chris, we'll hold our nose and talk nasally like that at him.
That's because I did it to you guys.
He started that whole thing.
We turned it around on him, and now it's
gave the old one too. Yeah,
we're trying to parrot him.
You guys got me. What's that called? Like you do something because you love me. What's that?
We're Uno carding you, man. Reverse.
Yeah. So okay, we are right at we're close to the making pipes thing, but first we talk to the Rain Bro guy who lives in the treehouse. So does anyone want to talk about this part where he lives in a treehouse on what is clearly his parents' very rich estate? Like
he says that because he talks about his his parents have a gardener, like the gardener. He's like, oh, it's the gardener. He made me this
guitar, bass, or whatever.
Yeah,
he's basically. Talking about how he's struggling, but it's very obvious that he's not.
Yeah, his parents are giving money.
Oh yeah, he said he got he said he got dosed by LSD, and then he just randomly ran into a Fish concert and ended up liking him. That's how he got into jam band music.
And then in between this and Les Claypool, I forget if the guy in the treehouse said this or not, but they said if you really want to stick it to your government, you don't even have to vote. You just got to put a few bumper stickers on. Right? Yeah. I forget exactly who said that, but I wrote
about
it
his
down.
van when he was driving around.
Yeah, it was the dude in the treehouse. That guy.
Okay, so now we're at Les Claypool, who's showing that. What is Les Claypool's character's name? I forget.
Lapdog.
He's Lapdog, right?
Lapdog.
Is he Lapdog?
Yes.
I'm gonna just bring up the IMDb so I have it.
Lapdog.
Because at the end, whenever he's setting up the drums, he's like, Lapdog's still setting up.
Right. Dude, that was, oh my God. We'll get to that part, but it's just
Studio.
Being in a band specifically, especially with Bryan, he knows, no shade to our drummer, but they take forever to set up. So it was really funny.
That's just drummers. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Well, I mean, they're setting up a lot of stuff, but it was extra funny that they made it take like super long for him to do that later. So yeah. Okay. Anyway, Les Claypool was talking about how he's making pipes, basically, like blowing glass pipes. Jordan, I don't want to steal your thunder here if you want to talk about this part.
Well, he started off by saying he knows his grandpa wanted to make use Twizzle sticks for cocktails or something like that. So he started making those, and he's like, I can start making pipes. And it's like, my friends keep smoking them, so I can't really sell them. And he's like, and then he starts going, he's making glass sexual
marital aids.
There it is.
Marital aids. There it is. Bring it back.
And he's showing everything he's done so far. And I guess a friend of him wanted to him to make him a marital aid or something like that. And he's gonna be in the room with him. And I forget how he set this up.
He's gonna model his friends.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah. Yeah, he goes, so the line is, he goes, I'm pretty comfortable with my sexuality and whatnot, but you're in a hot room with fires blowing. This guy's got an erection in front of you. That's just not my game.
Yes. So he had him send him a picture instead.
Yeah, he said he uses
like,
pictures.
Yeah.
I thought that was the funniest part of the whole movie.
It's pretty good. Yeah. Like what? So at this point we're finding out, okay, this is making fun of things like Burning Man and jam bands, and the one song they keep playing, the chorus is what? He's like, hey, are you going to Burning Man?
Yeah.
Over and over again.
That's the only song they sing. Hey, are you going
to Burning Man? It's a pretty catchy song, but it's pretty funny.
The one I do like it's not really funny, this scene, but it sets up something that happens later. There's one guy in the band who's very into meditation.
Yeah.
And it shows him at his job. He works at a coffee shop. He's
he's a barista.
Yeah, he's like, I put a little extra cocoa in there for the kids. He's like, you like those kids? And they just kind of stare at him
yeah, they're
something kind of off
extra
about him.
love for you. Yeah,
but he's supposed to be this enlightened guy, but later on he sees not so enlightened.
Yeah. So you're at this part where he's we're introducing each character and what their home life is like. Is that the guitar player just sits in his bed the entire time, in a t-shirt, doesn't get up out of his bed the entire part of this. They don't show what he does for. Oh wait, no, they do, because he talks about how he grows stuff.
Oh, I loved that joke, because you're assuming he's gonna grow drugs and weed, but he's just growing legit gardening
peppers.
stuff.
Peppers for
he's
restaurants and stuff.
I sell them to the That was hilarious. I loved that.
I don't believe you. Peru-vit.
Oh my God.
A dad joke he threw in there.
Oh, it was good.
He's talking about the peppers and tomatoes and stuff. But they did a good job, because there's they go to it's a hydroponic store or something like that.
Yeah.
And he's sneaks in it. Actually says you can't sell it, or they can't, something there's a sign saying, we can't do anything legally give you advice how to use this. And he goes home and opens up his door and is you just see he's actually just growing vegetables.
That was one of my favorite bits for sure. I loved that. I was like, what a the old 1-2 there. I also thought it was really funny. They were talking about band practice, and Iwas was talking about how they would just be jamming and he would stop and shine a light in someone's face and practice and tell them to sing the next part. The other guy was just playing to he's like, man, it's a little traumatic, someone doing that to you. So we see them. They just played a show after this, and they're interviewing a bartender, which I actually do vaguely remember seeing this way back when Tiffany initially told me to watch this. She showed me, I think this was part of the trailer. But they're interviewing this bartender who had just basically had to listen to Electric Apricot's set. And he says, I don't understand why anybody would come see that piece of shit band. He says, they're so fucking bad. I got pissed off. I hate the Grateful Dead. Garcia sucks. And he was like, I'm glad Garcia died. Which is just like super brutal thing to say.
Does anybody remember, like, he did a dance about it. I wrote a note. He did a dance about his mom. I don't know what the joke was. Does anybody else remember that joke? I guess not.
I don't know where we're at with this.
The bartender. It was the bartender.
Oh.
He says his parents smoked weed and listened to them, but I don't remember.
He's like, they did that stupid dance shit. I forget.
Hula hoops.
And they found out she was high. His mom was high.
That's right.
Yeah. So basically someone tells, I forget exactly who, one of the long-haired guys, the guy with Garcia Tortilla who loves him, that this bartender was talking crap, and he goes upstairs and he just punches him out. All right. So now they're on to talking about recording this album that they want to do. And Lapdog, he keeps saying this over and over again for various different things, but this is, I think, the first place he says it. He says, you only make your first record once, and which is just stupid. But it's funny, but stupid. But then later on, it's like, you only have your first ham sandwich once, like stuff like that. It just keeps coming up over and over again. This is the point where we already talked about where he's taken a million years to set up his drums. And then we see the guy growing his vegetables and stuff, so I'll skip over that. And then there's this one, the like producer guy, he's talking to one of the other guys. I forget exactly how this came up, but he says, like, you gotta like the color platinum. And then the
like,
member of the
what?
band's
Why?
like, what do you mean? He's like, platinum, like a platinum album is just like this stupid this stupid thing. Anyway, they start to record, and he's like, you play your first note of the first song. Here it comes. And then he hits it. He's like, oh, it's wrong tom. I'm going to start over again. And at this point, 3 days have kind of gone by and nothing is recorded. And then the one guy's like burning sage in the corner and stuff.
Well, it takes 3 days for Lapdog to set, or it takes a day for him to set up his drums. And they also have this thing with where him and Ayahuasca, is that the one guy that worked at the coffee shop?
No.
The guy that was doing the yoga squats.
Yeah, what's
Who's that guy?
He's a keyboard guy.
Yeah, so those two go play golf. Him and Lapdog are playing golf while Lapdog, it's like they kind of put these two scenes together, and he keeps on like golfing but saying it's like a part of his zen or whatever, and then he just freaks out and screams and swears as soon as he misses every single shot. I thought that was a pretty good part where he kept on like freaking out.
Oh man!
Then they go in and start recording, and 3 days go by.
Doesn't Lapdog keep saying the bass is behind or something like that?
Yeah, this is so funny. As someone who's recorded, like, I think me, Brian, and Chris have all maybe done this before. It's funny to see this because the things people say and do. Like he says, the fills sound like you fell down the stairs, and he's like, well, that's just the syncopation. Like these stupid jokes. Also, Tiffany, when we were chatting, watching this, she brought up a good point here, and I wrote it down. It's a documentary about a jam band, which they're inherently kind of boring. So it's almost like this juxtaposition of a like what, like why did you even? Yeah, it's true though. I mean, maybe not boring, but long-winded. Yeah, not something good. you would think of having a movie about.
If you want to send Jeff hate mail about jam, if you like a jam band, it's watchpals.show.
Yeah, send it to me. I don't give a shit what you like or not. Also, they're all recording at once for some reason, which I don't know if that's a jam band thing or not, but that doesn't make sense for normal bands. So, the bass is a little behind, they keep saying, and then there's a fight. I wrote Dr. Bryan Bucky. He's the therapist they bring in. They bring in like
that's
a
the
band.
therapy sessions. Yeah,
because they record a good one, but the guy forgets to hit play or something, or there's like a buzz in it.
There's a buzz. That's what it was.
There's a buzz in the guitar,
and they have to go back and return and record everything.
Yeah,
because Lapdog keeps on saying, "Can't we punch it in right there?" And he's like, "No, we can't do that."
Oh man! And the best part is they're sitting down with this therapist, and I think. I forget his name. It's the barista guy, the Zen guy. I think it was him. And they're supposed to be talking about the band, and he goes, "This is gonna sound crazy, but I've always wanted blonde hair." Yeah, like just talking about.
You can see the other guy actually like start laughing. He has to like turn away from the camera.
Because they bring in a therapist after they all start arguing with each other,
right?
And the guy who's funding the record brings in this therapist to like get him back. Like he's like, I'm gonna bring in a therapist so we can get you guys back on track, so we get you guys, jiving or whatever together again and being, a cohesive unit, because they keep on arguing with each other. And this guy they bring in he's actually the funniest part of the movie, I think.
And the one member is bringing his girlfriend. And if I had a girlfriend, I wouldn't bring her. Like, it's like you're telling me not to bring my spleen or something. I forget exactly what he says. Also, I forget who said this, but someone goes at group level right off the bat, I have an incredibly small penis. They just say like this shit that has nothing to do with anything they should be talking about.
That's a barista guy.
Okay.
And they all like kind of get up and leave, and like they're not looking at him and stuff.
And then they're back here, and they're back talking to Bucky, and they're starting to get caught up on his name. They're like,
"Drew buck teeth."
Yeah, they're like, "Why are you named Bucky? You have buck teeth?"
I'm Dr. Bucky. I'm buck teeth.
Yeah, so they all basically they make fun of the therapist. He gets upset and leaves, and they bond over that, and that actually helps them continue on, which I thought was funny.
Also, like, I think before everything got better, the Skip kid came into the bathroom and was like, "Hey, can I go on the road with you guys to Festeroo?"
Yeah, so Skip's like the assistant. He's funny. Yeah. That's the guy. I forget his character name in Cannibal the Musical, but he's very clearly a friend of like the
He's
South
also
Park
an
guys.
Orgasmo. He's Chota Boy.
Oh, it was Orgasmo. Was it?
Yeah, he's
both of them.
He's Chota Boy. Yeah, he's in Cannibal and Orgasmo. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so he's clearly buddies with those guys. He's just kind of like a smaller dude, and he's very clearly trying to, like, I don't want to say weasel his way, but be like, hey, like, I'll kind of do anything for you guys to come on the road with you guys. I really want to come on the road with you guys, blah, blah, blah. And then...
didn't he go to school for, like, that? And he's like...
engineering and stuff.
Yeah,
he's like the intern, or, like, he's essentially...
But he was like, I had to be average. So they didn't really excel at it.
Oh, right. And now we're finding out that they're confirmed for Festeroo, which is a large jam band fest, which will get them notoriety. They're the second day, third stage opener. I wrote that down, which I thought was funny. Skippy ends up getting fired over this. They find out, they're like, hey, they talk to the producer guy or whatever he was, and they're like, hey, he's saying he wants to go on tour, and I don't know if it's the time. I'm not grooving with him, blah, blah, blah. And
the manager like loses it. They're like, hey, be cool.
The manager like gets very mad.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, I made you, blah, blah, blah. He fires him on the spot, and the camera crew follows him into his
the car.
Yeah.
I honestly hoped and kind of thought it would take a really dark turn. And he just like,
you think he'd crash?
Yeah, he'd crash and die or like kill himself. I was hoping he'd go like that dark.
That would have been insane.
Like,
he's like, you want to see something?
Yeah, he just kills himself.
The best though was like his car was clearly like had all these issues starting. It was like sounded like crap.
Yeah.
So he gets fired. They finally finish recording this album, and then I think we're starting to be on like the final act where they're touring to Festeroo.
So it's an hour in right now at 1:04.
So, yeah, they have a motorhome. They make a joke. The motorhome's becoming the odor home, which I can attest to touring with people.
They had to rent it. They had to rent it because theirs broke down or something.
Oh,
There's a
right.
whole thing about that.
Yeah.
The best was the guy getting mad at the drivers too, driving like, ah!
Oh, yeah, the Zen guy. He's
Yeah.
Swearing at him.
See how they're driving. They're like, are they driving that fast?
So they finally get to Festeroo. It's day one. Remember, they play day 3, so we get to see the fests quite a bit. They're talking to some concert goers. He said two like guys who I just think were actually at whatever this real fest was. This had to have been a real fest, right? Because there were just too many people at this thing.
They probably just called it something else. Yeah.
Yeah. They're like, we didn't get no free love yet. And they're like, haha. Then I forget exactly who was talking about this, but this person starts talking and she's like, electric apricot. She's like, I say apra instead of apricot. Like, I just thought it was like stupid. They should lose the food name. That never works.
Yeah, that's the guy from Fish that said that.
Yeah. I forget who also said it, but someone said the one redeeming value is the corn at this fest. It has the best corn.
That was the Fish guy too.
Was that the Fish guy? Okay.
Is that the lead singer of Fish?
I don't know if it's a lead singer, but
I think it is him, the lead singer.
Trey, whatever his name is.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Wow. And then I thought this was great too. I actually didn't catch this at first, but the girl with the million wristbands.
Yeah.
For like the festival talking about it. Like it was just pretty funny. Then there was all this weird stuff. There were rocks dipped in cinnamon you could like buy.
Well, yeah, the guy was like, I can't eat any of this stuff. I can't have any. I can't eat grill.
Yeah.
He's like grilled chicken. He's like, I can't eat grill. He's like, I can eat some. They got some grass. I can eat that. I get a rock with cinnamon.
Yeah. So there's a real band, Government Mule, and that guy's there. He meets this guy he's a huge fan of, and he kind of like gets starstruck and he starts saying weird stuff. He's like,
do you like go to zoos?
Yeah, you like going to zoos. Like, you can screw my girlfriend if you want, like out of nowhere.
Do you like feeding ducks?
Nah. Yeah. Yeah, he's like, yeah, I'm embarrassed. I asked him if he wanted to go feed ducks. I don't know. He was walking away. I just wanted to talk to him.
Yeah, he's like, I don't even have a girlfriend.
Yeah. Yeah, he's like, I don't even have a girlfriend. And the guy was like, I have a wife. I don't want to do that, you know. So this upsets him. He drinks himself silly, basically. And the camera crew kind of like follows him. He just takes like a case of beer into the woods. And then later we see him. It's Gordo. We see him passed out drunk with no clothes on. And that's kind of like the last we see of him for a second.
He meets like Robert Weir, I think his name is, from the Grateful Dead. Gordo does. I think that's who it was he met.
And then
disappears. Oh, no, it's Warren Haynes.
It was some guy from Government Mule. I forget his name.
No, the one that Gordo meets is Warren Haynes from Allman Brothers.
Oh, was it?
And also Government Mule. He's a founding member of that, so he was in both. Oh. But he's the one that he meets that makes him get. He says that stuff too.
Yeah. Okay. So now we're at day 3. It's the start of day 3, and Gordo's nowhere to be found because he got drunk, and they're like, oh crap, we're starting, and you know the guy. We're missing him. And right at the last second, he kind of stumbles out on stage, clearly drunk. And someone's just like putting all of his stuff right on him. And then they go into their, hey, are you going to Burning Man song? And the crowd's dancing. They love it. And it goes really well. And everyone's really into it. And they end the set. And then when they're done, Les Claypool's character once again calls back, you only rock Festeroo once. Doesn't make sense. Then they talk about the Cube here. He's one of our biggest fans and how he like sent them something.
But yeah, like doesn't Gordo come out of like nowhere as they're playing the song? Yeah.
He comes out of nowhere and then they basically
throw everything on him.
I don't want to. Someone, I guess, the ghost of Jerry Garcia saved the day. Who woke him up. Then we see them. They're like they're riding high, right? They're feeling good. They're driving back,
and they get pulled over.
Yeah, someone says life is a never-ending journey to a destination that is never reached. Gets a little deep at the end. And then they get pulled over. Gordo runs out, and you're kind of seeing this from the cop car's view. He's getting arrested, and he yells for Jerry. And we see all this stuff come up on screen, and we find out that Skip actually sold them out to be busted.
Well, because that guy was it Skip? The reason they got invited to the show, to play on the show, is because their manager was trafficking drugs between people at the show and him.
Yeah, it said 20 minutes later, with the help of dogs, police confiscated over 20 pounds of marijuana hidden in an empty speaker cabinet amongst the band's gear. It was later revealed that Smilin' Dawn was working as a courier between Drew and one of the Festeroo vendors. The police had been tipped off by go-to guy Skip Holmes. Though oblivious to the crime, the band members face numerous possession and trafficking charges pending further investigation. Electric Apricot are currently out on bail and scheduled to perform in California at the Moon Dance Festival. Gordo started a website, jerrylives.com, which is funny. But if you go to that website, jerrylives.com, it's a separate mockumentary for a different film, which I was like, oh, that's cool. It's just their way of like continuing
Linking
this
it.
promotion. Yeah, I didn't watch it. I don't know exactly what it's about. Let's actually look at. I'm gonna do
then
right now.
Then they go into that though. That the guy who was making the mockumentary, the quote film guy, he has a scene at the end of this too.
Oh, I must have missed that.
The Jerry Garcia thing, right?
Yeah, he basically like slows down the image of shows Jerry Garcia like in the woods.
Looks like
Oh,
Bigfoot.
right. Yeah. Okay. No, I didn't miss that part. Yeah, that's really funny. Yeah, the Whereabouts 50 Miles from Medford is a 2016 tour rockumentary. So that's where jerrylives.com goes. And that, I think it's a quick one, but a good one. That is Electric Apricot, The Quest for Festeroo.
Let's not say the good one is in our episode, not the movie good one.
Well, that's yet to be seen. We'll get to everyone's.
Well, Jeff, you didn't mention Wavy Gravy.
Yeah.
The legend,
about Wavy
mythical
Gravy.
being in the flavor of ice cream. It's what this
Listen,
like old guy. He's like dressed like a clown.
Oh my God! There's just too much. There's just too much in this movie.
And I think he's a real
Yeah.
real person, like not an actor. So they interview him, and then he kind of comes around at the end. Like I guess he's clearly a jam band person, Grateful Dead, Jerry
What does that
Garcia
mean?
person.
What's that supposed to mean? What do you mean by that, Jordan?
Yeah, Jordan, what are you talking about?
Clarify what you just said.
Because he's at a festival. When these jam band festivals, he's wearing a Grateful Dead jacket. He talks about Jerry Garcia, I'm pretty sure. And, you can just tell.
God.
I mean, his name's Wavy Gravy. Like, come on. Come on.
All right. Well, we
All right,
did it.
so we got through that great film. I maybe. But Jeff, thank you for taking us through the Electric Apricot movie.
Yes, you're welcome.
And we're gonna go around now and get our feedback for the movie. And Bryan, you want to start with this?
Sure. This movie had. So it's trying to do the.
This movie had a movie.
It was a movie.
It was a movie.
Someone pushed play.
Someone pushed play and I had to watch it. No, it was a mockumentary. They were definitely trying to go for the This Is Spinal Tap thing. You could tell they were fans of that movie or that style of movie. I think the characters and the jokes in this movie, like some of the acting from the characters and the jokes they told were very good. But I think this movie could have been done in 20 or 30 minutes instead of an hour and a half. That's my only thing about it, is that I enjoyed the character development and some of the jokes, but some of these scenes for me personally just dragged on way too long.
Just like the music.
Hey,
It's a deeper meeting. Jordan.
Wow.
he could have been going for that. Maybe he's like, every scene needs to be 10 minutes long. I don't care what it's
And then
about.
slap another 20 minutes on there for no reason.
Yeah. It could be somebody needs to go brush their teeth 10 minutes. So, yeah, that's my impressions of it.
Jordan, what about you?
So like I said earlier, I had no idea what this was going to be about, because like I said, I saw the trauma thing and I was like, oh, this is going to be like one of these Greasy Strangler type freak type movies. I was like,
A lot of guys hanging down,
freak.
showing us.
I liked it, and I'm surprised to say, because I'm not a fan of this type of music. I think they could have leaned a little bit harder into some of this stuff, actually, as far as like that whole scene. It made me kind of question, because I am a big Primus fan, and I'm like, I started thinking about the kind of music Primus plays. I'm like, oh, they're kind of jammy at points. Like they kind of go on like these little like long stretches, like
Funk fusion type
yeah.
things.
And I was like, oh,
yeah.
So I'm not saying I like jam band. I'm not saying that, but it's like it made me kind of question that. I did kind of wish it, like I said, leaned a little bit harder into this stuff, or even like I said earlier, did a very dark turn and it became like a completely different movie.
Yeah.
But overall, I did like it. I did like it. Yes.
Chris.
I'm going to go next and then let Jeff go last. So I think when I started this movie, I was 10 minutes in when I texted you guys and said, this is very upsetting. Like, I am upset about this.
What am I watching?
It was just, I guess I saw National Lampoons and I expected something like, all those like National Lampoons, like college movies, like, whatever, the American Pie, like spin-offs and stuff like that.
It sets, the logo itself sets an expectation.
Senior Trip? Is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah, like all those like, high school age movies that are directed at like college kids and high school kids that are like comedies, but it's all about a kid hooking up or something, whatever. So I thought it was something like that when you said, because I raw dogged it. I went in with no idea what the hell I was getting into till I clicked play. And it was so confusing for the first 15, 20 minutes. When I did catch something that like sparked my interest, it was like gone within a second. Like they jumped around so much. I guess it's like a jam band. Like they jumped around through different type of parts or whatever so much that I couldn't get a catch on what the hell was going on.
Do you think that was intentional?
It seemed like it was a student project to me. It seemed like this is something some kid made for college.
That's sort of the premise, though.
Right. No, it makes sense. I know what they were going for, but it actually seems like that.
Yeah. Well,
do you think the jumping around though, like this, like, do you think that's intentional? Because that's kind of like the music itself, right?
I don't know. I don't know if it has that deeper meaning, but maybe that's what I missed, and it's not for me. I don't know. I just think it jumped around so much that I couldn't really. Maybe they just had it more about them together. Maybe it's a single camera instead of all these separate things being spliced together. I don't know, because there's like that one part where he's playing piano before that one show, and then it goes into the show. And so the things they talk about don't ever really come up again or really brought up ever again. In some cases, like they don't ever reference other parts, and there's no like payoff of what the movie's actually about, other than the fact that they want to play the show. And so, I don't know. If it was about a real band, I would have been way more entertained, I guess. If it was like an actual thing. But this could have been a 20-minute video was posted on YouTube, a short film or something. But I think it was too long. I think if it was shorter, I would actually liked it. Because there was some funny parts. Like I said, there was some good parts where you have like when he's in the Gordo's at the grow house. He shows his grow house off. Whenever what's his name's doing yoga and like freaks out like later about playing golf. I thought the golf part was really funny. When he's playing golf against Lapdog's like making all these shots, and then he's like freaking out every time he hits the ball, and Lapdog just walks up and like hits a hole in one or whatever. And it's really funny because he's just like, yeah, I did it, and then the other guy's just like freaking out, swearing, kicking stuff, and throwing his golf club. But it's just the whole thing was just confusing. I think when they got to, like later, it started to make sense. It's almost like I got used to their kind of filmmaking, so I watched it again, it would make more sense. And like I got used to how they would like kind of structured it like later, but you could tell that there was like the introduction, and then they have the part where they're making their album, and then they have the concert part. So you break it down to 3 different main parts, but the whole beginning first section, the third of it, was just so confusing. I think, especially when they're talking to those people outside, and then they move into then they start introducing the band. It's confusing. You're like, this is about a band, and then they're introducing the band people, and then they go to the show. It's like, it was just a whirlwind. I was spun around.
He felt some feelings.
Yeah. As for like the other parts of like a movie, the kind of camera work, I think because of what they were trying to go for is like a documentary made sense. Like the way they, kind of focus shots and the way they kind of use the camera.
Portrayed it, yeah.
Yeah, the way they actually did that was interesting and made sense. And the sound was, the way they would be in this type of situation, that all kind of made sense. So the cinematography and everything made sense, but it's like the whole story premise, the editing of it was just confusing. But anyway, Jeff, what about you?
So I'm going to agree with you on the first part being confusing and a little hard to follow, because I felt the same way. I was like, what the heck is happening? Is this whole film going to be like this? Like at first I was like, what the heck?
You just don't get the scene, man. You just don't understand, dude.
You're not falling in line.
I was like, what the heck did Tiffany tell us to watch? What is going on here? But then
you gotta relax, man, and just
let it
flow. Let it flow inside you.
Once it settled down, though, and I could follow along, and Chris, maybe it was just we got used to it, right? But I think the initial 10 to 15 minutes was hard to pay attention to and make sense of and be entertained by. I think it's the weakest part of the film. I think once we actually have those characters established, and then we find out what they're doing, a little bit about them, what their goals are, and that kind of stuff. I thought, Act 2 and 3 were really funny, I thought. And I think us just talking about this again made me realize how much more funny some of the things were actually. And I think on a consecutive watch, I might find the intro part funnier now that I've seen it. I might be like, oh, like here's something funny that it gets called back to later that I kind of missed because it was jumping around all over the place. But yeah, like you, I didn't, I hadn't heard about this. This was recommended to me by my lady Tiffany, and overall, I do think I enjoyed it. I think it could have been maybe a little shorter. I think the first part could have been done a little better, but overall, I think a lot of the humor was really, really good, and some of the parts, like the friggin' hydroponic switcheroo, like I loved that. I thought that was so funny. There are just some things that I thought were really clever and funny in this.
As musicians, were they hitting some of the stuff on the head with that?
I think so, yeah. Like especially the recording, the drums taking forever to set up. Like there are some things that I think if you're in a band, it would be extra funny, even if this isn't your style of music, which it's not the kind of music I generally listen to. Ever really, but like Primus is great, like you said. It's funny because Les Claypool is such like his own thing. It's hard to even say what the heck Primus is, right? I remember seeing at one point he tried out for Metallica, and they were like, what? They were like, what?
Yep.
It's like, yeah, you want to jam Isley Brothers tunes? And he's just like, so they were both amazing, but they just didn't mesh. And he's just so unique.
Speaking of him, I've never knew what he looked like. I only know his voice because like a lot of videos I saw him like where there was when they had that crazy makeup on.
Oh right, yeah.
So, you're talking about like Winona's Big Brown Beavers?
Yeah. Because they all dressed like cowboys and had like the crazy faces. So I was like, I didn't know he was in the movie either. I just saw at the beginning like he wrote and directed it. So, but right. I was hearing him talking. I'm like, that has to be him. Even though it sounds nasally, that has to be him.
Yeah.
But he could tell like he loves music so much. He's been around so many musicians. Like I don't know anything about music, but like the stuff with like the drums and like I don't know. It just seemed like clearly like they know they've been around that scene for a very long time and like they've been around those types of people.
The joke about, it's just the syncopation. Like the arguments they were having were funny too. I mean, bands have that, it's a little bit off. Oh, there's a weird buzz. Oh, this, that, or the other thing. Like, it's obviously, they obviously exacerbated it and made it like funny for the film, but it was funny to see some of that stuff happening. And, if anyone listening is a musician, I think if you watch this, you'll get some enjoyment out of it just purely from that angle. So.
All right, let's go around and find out the ratings you give the Electric Apricot. Brian, what do you give it? Thumbs up or thumbs down?
I enjoyed the jokes, but unfortunately for me, the movie was just too long for me, so I'd have to give it a thumbs down. It just dragged on too long for me at an hour and a half. So that's just I like it made me laugh at parts, but I just don't think I'd watch it again.
And that's a short movie by today's standards too.
Yeah, it just dragged in too many scenes for me.
But not too short than like, what kids and like younger people watch is like 40 minutes is too long for them, or 20 minutes in some cases when you talk about like
videos are 15 seconds now.
Yeah, like it's crazy. But Jordan, what about you? What do you give Electric Apricot?
I give it a thumbs up. I didn't think it was great, but I still enjoyed it a lot. Like I said earlier, I think they could have leaned more into some of this like crazy like music scene. But I did enjoy it because there's certain scenes like when the guys in this treehouse talk, that whole scene I think hilarious. The glass blowing scene with Les Claypool's character I think is amazing. So there's scenes like that I think that like really saved it for me. So I give it a thumbs up. Oh, and also when you guys brought up that buzzing noise in the recording when they kind of like snapped, it was a dude's guitar because I don't know if you remember at the very beginning of the movie he's talking about his guitar and he's like there's something on his guitar. The guy's like I don't even know what that means. So I think he did something. And
he talks about the humbucker, like the pickup.
That's what it was. Yeah, he's like I don't know what that means. So I think that's what was like something happened with that was what caused the whole thing in the recording to go like bad. I think that's what it was.
That's funny.
I'm going to give it a thumbs down, obviously. I thought that was pretty clear from the entire I just think, like I said, the whole beginning half really threw me off. I think there were some funny parts, but I'm not going to like tell someone to go watch this. I won't even remember this movie in a year. Like, it's just not interesting to me in any way. It was, like I said, cinematography is like giving it that look was good. The way they set up shots was good, but it's just like not, it was funny, but there's some parts were funny, but they were just too far between. Few and far between. What's that?
Few and far between?
There you go. Few and far between.
Far and away.
Far and away.
Two and far between. What does this guy say?
Tale
Five
of two
goes
cities.
west.
An American tale.
Jeff, what do you give Electric Apricot?
So I'm going to kind of echo Jordan's sentiments. It's not the best movie in the world, but I did overall like it. I think if I would watch it again, I would probably like it more because I know more about everything. And I think that first part of the film would be less insane.
Yeah.
I do think it could have been a little bit shorter, but overall, I think it was pretty funny. And I thought it echoed kind of, not echoed. It just represented
Mirrored
what being a musician is like in a band,
between.
Regardless of the genre you play. I mean, there's going to be some similarities if you play an instrument or in a band of any kind. I think you can find some funny parts in this. So yeah, thumbs up from me.
So if you're sitting at an airport and you have about an hour and a half to kill, sure, give it a watch, but I wouldn't.
I think it's good. I think it's at the very least good to watch once. And if after the first watch, you're like Brian and you're like, it didn't quite hit for me, maybe it's just not for you. But I do think, I'll probably end up watching it again at some point. I know my girlfriend likes this movie a lot. So thumbs up.
I did watch had to watch the first 20 minutes twice.
Okay. Yeah. The first 20 minutes are rough, man. I was like,
yeah.
I
a lot going
totally
on.
agree.
I wasn't really paying attention very much, and I was like, I got to go back and rewatch this.
Yeah.
It was hard to pay attention to.
Because there's a lot of stuff you can miss.
Yeah.
There is, yeah.
And maybe that's what I need to do, give it another watch, but I'm not going to. No offense, anybody. That's the whole point of this.
Oh, no, yeah, hey. No one will be offended.
I don't... I am hurt that she put this upon us, so I will let her know.
Wow. This is our first decent rating of the season. Everything's either been, nothing's been a 2 out of 4 yet. This split the room.
I thought Brian would have given us a thumbs up.
Yeah, me too. I'm surprised.
There were jokes that I liked. It's just that like some of these scenes, it's just like I just felt unnecessary.
Yep.
I guess you could say like there was some jokes that really hit, and then some jokes that just did not hit for me.
Maybe you need another like edit pass or something with a different edit or something, and it might have cleaned
That's
it
what
up.
I'm saying, dude. If this was like a 20 or 30 minute skit, I was just thinking about like SNL skits during this, like how there's when you're watching like comedy skits, sometimes they hit for certain people and sometimes they don't. And it's like in this movie, it just was like 50-50 for me.
Maybe, just maybe, you should be in a certain sort of mindset to watch this one.
Like the jam
true.
band mindset.
If you get what I'm saying.
Get some brownies from the Cube Man.
Eat some apricots. And then stick your finger in a socket.
I did that with a key. Anyway, next time on the Watch Pals, next week we're watching, it's my choice. We're going to watch a movie. And the last time I picked a movie, I gave you guys a choice. I said we're going to watch a movie about, we watched Mortal Engines, and the other one was like a movie about the Great Wall. And the movie is literally The Great Wall, which is a 2017 film about the Great Wall and some other stuff. And the reason I'm picking this is because, one, it is known to be not very good. I think it got like...
I don't know. You just said it was about the Great Wall, and I disagree with you.
I mean, technically, I guess it is.
The Great Wall's in it. Makes an appearance.
Yeah. Makes an appearance a few times. It's true.
It was released in 2016, so in China, in Beijing, in 2017 in America. And it is a movie, an action movie starring Matt Damon and Pablo Pascual. What's that guy's name?
Pedro
Pascal.
Play-Doh Pascal.
Play-Doh. Yeah.
Adobe.
Adobe Acrobat
Pedro
Pro.
Pascal, which was he really well known at this time in 2017, or
He was getting well known, I think. He was like starting to come up.
because I feel like he's like everywhere now.
He was on his comeuppance.
Did he do the Viper in Game of Thrones at that point yet, or no?
I think around that time, yeah.
That was where I found out who he was, and I was like, "Who the hell is this guy?"
But now he's like in
awesome.
everything.
I love him.
He's so smooth.
He's voice acting
awesome.
games and stuff. Like he's doing all kind of stuff.
He's
Poppy.
Joel. He's Joel in The Last of Us.
A huge role for him now. Anyway, and
Mando. He's Mando. All right.
Yeah.
also Christopher Walken is in it.
He's not in it.
Oh, Willem Dafoe. I mean, sorry.
Same guy.
Wow.
Same
Are you
difference.
serious?
No.
That'll make more sense whenever we talk next week about this
Okay.
episode. But
Bruce Willis and Jude Law and
Yeah. Wow.
Katharine Hepburn.
Oh, they're real
And
far in the
Ernest P.
background.
Worrell.
I've never seen this movie, and I am
I don't think anyone saw it.
No.
yeah. So none of us. Okay, good. So none of us seen it, and the reason I picked it is because one, there's an actress named Jing Tian in it, who's very beautiful. She was in a bunch of other movies that
What is
you
it,
probably know.
Chris? Do you have like a list or something? What's going on here?
do you
Very
mean?
beautiful list.
It's just you and her in it, and me.
It's a very beautiful list.
So
This is my very beautiful list.
the other reason why I picked it is because I like when movies take real history and like twist it. So like using the Great Wall as a thing of like the reason why they built the Great Wall, changing that idea. Like my great example is Hellboy. Hellboy does this a lot.
Abe Lincoln, Vampire Hunter.
Well, I never saw that, but
Oh
like
God. Don't pick that, please.
I might.
but like that idea of taking actual historical things and spinning them to like add in something else is really interesting to me. I really like that concept, and this does it, but I never watched it before. So
Also, that actor was in Kong Skull Island and the second Pacific Rim movie.
yes,
I didn't see that one. The second Pacific Rim.
I think
I did not either.
I saw it once. I think it was par for the course. But Kong
That's a
Skull
winner.
Island, I love.
Oh, yeah.
And I love the first Pacific Rim.
Yeah.
Yes.
I like big robots destroying things. So. All right, so next week we're going to watch The Great Wall, and that brings us to the end of this great episode. I want to thank everybody for being here. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Jeff.
Hey.
And thank you, Jordan, for being here. If you want to help us out, you can tell your friends about us. You can follow us on any social media.
Tell your goddamn friends. Tell them.
Get on Spotify and listen. That's gonna blow out the mic.
Listen to us wherever you get your podcasts. You can find us at watchpals.show for links to all those. All those links are also down in our show notes. So if you want to help us out, please do that. Share it with all your friends. Tell everybody about it. Find us on all social media. All the links are down in the show notes. Watchpals.show. You can send us movie suggestions through email at watchpalsshow@gmail.com. You can send us questions. We can answer them on the air maybe sometime in the future. And you can also join the Discord, which the link is at watchpals.show. It's also in the show notes if you want to chat there about anything we've talked about. Give us suggestions about movies to watch. And I want to thank...
You can also go to our shop and buy Chris's bathwater if you want that.
Oh, yeah.
Coming soon.
It's like... I don't know if you want this
It's
batch,
real
but
dirty.
Yeah. Ignore the little pieces of
this
things
brew is
floating.
not going well. I gotta...
It's real dirty.
It's gross.
Why is it brown?
Yeah.
Well, you gotta wash it out
It's
somehow.
spicy, you know what I'm saying?
It's real dirty.
I wouldn't drink it.
No, don't drink
I
it.
wouldn't look at it.
Make your tea in it or something. Put some tea in there.
Rectum damn near killed him.
Oh, wow.
So I want to thank Ben Miller for our logo design, original artwork. You can find his Instagram below. We also have other stuff we do. Mysterious Pals is another show me and Jordan make, and the Cream Team is Jeff and Brian streaming games on Twitch.
Sometimes it's Jordan. Sometimes Jordan comes over.
Jordan's there once in a while. But anyway, we'll see you next time.
It's winning Mario Kart over here.
See you all next time in Watchland. Set your watches for the next episode of the Watch Pals. Good night.